So I'm inside some really old school, mysterious vessel or something, or space. Actually, I cannot sense something outside of this, but I'm inside mainly. He's still confused. What I want to do now is to kind of use his lower ego to kind of use my I'm checking the character sheet, my awareness on him, so to say. Can you do that? You see what I mean?
But you have an analyze ability in your awareness, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that will apply in this case. It is not telepathy, but there are things you can discover about him by concentrating on him. And also, I want you to roll 3d6 regarding your weaken power, which also has serious burnout.
Yeah. And it's a 2 and 3. It's a 9, so that's.
Guess what? It's not going to work again. So that means that yes, that your power works very, very effectively that one time, but you are not in the right situation to restore its function.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get what does that mean? So I've lowered his ego, but I cannot do it again.
Your power has burned out.
Okay. All right. It's my only. So what is that? Then first, what I want to do is use my awareness to do that.
I'm not changing that at all. We just are doing a necessary mechanic that we should do every time you use that power. Just like
but it's very important. What you essentially told me is that my only offensive attack is taken away.
That is that's exactly what your character's thought balloon tells the reader right now.
Yeah. And probably exactly in that wording also.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Probably, close, more or less.
My only offensive attack removed.
Yes.
And it's more or less like the suit is telling me that. It's not maybe my own thoughts only. But I don't care right now because I'm getting this.
You're doing the awareness and you go right ahead. Yeah. Okay, so to do that is going to be your intelligence or less on 3d6.
Yeah. Yes, and that's a 10. So that's quite okay.
So the first thing that I want, and there's something else I need to tell you too, which is extremely important, but the awareness was your first priority, and you will quickly understand that he he has traveled into the same realms that the suit could take you, and that you partially perceive when you are in the suit. Okay? So it is think of it as it feels as though you're going into space outside of the Earth, but you are really going into a more psychically defined outer space. Right? And so that's what it's clear that's what he meant when he said, I thought I was going out, but I went in. It sends that we go in instead. And so you're actually linking to other people's consciousness and perhaps some medium through which consciousness travels. Right? On the other hand, though, it's think of it too as like the shamanic spirit plane. It means that you could actually go to another planet and come out into reality somewhere very far away, things like that. So in a way, it is space travel. You see. So
space. Right. Yes, it's. I will not say logic, but it makes sense.
Excellent. So we are obviously smoking the same thing, so it makes sense. So what happens now is that the reason I describe this is because he has reached the point where he is almost literally a creature of this space. He has integrated into it and moves within it and thinks in these terms now to an extent that he is insane. I mean, this is not a normal state of mind and a normal way to perceive reality. And at the moment, disoriented as he is, he seems to be operating in the context of his original activities in coming here.
Yeah.
And his suit, as I say, is not necessary either. It was made by a very different culture and time than whoever made this little vessel, or it's from somewhere else entirely, right?
Yeah. So am I to draw the conclusion that he has not made himself? Is it like
he is a human speaking 1960s Swedish, and all of his dialogue so far, whether to you, who he seems to, or at least reacting to your suit at least, seems to have very strong feelings about, or he is speaking to his superiors or his contact in some way in military language that is not particularly difficult for you to interpret.
No.
Okay? So everything he is talking about is extremely identifiable, particularly by you.
Okay.
Right. Now, the last thing I want to... So that is what your awareness is picking up. It is situating his position in metaphysics relative to what is around you. And you also are getting an idea that outside of this is the raw, etheric, cosmic, environment. So...
I think when I realize that, I immediately go up to the window that he doesn't want to look out.
Well, you are just full of multiple actions in one phase, aren't you? So
depending on, I thought my awareness was over. Is it his turn now?
Oh yes. Oh yes. We are in. Okay. That was phase 2. Phase 1, because you have.
We're still basically in combat.
Of course we are. And so we
then
are starting here in phase 1. And does your awareness cost endurance or not?
No.
No. Okay.
So this will be my move.
Okay.
Onward.
And so then on phase 2 is when his recovery occurred. His recovery occurred, or has occurred, and so that puts his ego now at 7. His ego is now 6. 6 is the minimal functional ego. You had managed to bump him 1 point below being functional. That's how far you drove him. And so now he is still weakened. His ego is only 6 instead of, a normal is 11. And so he's still very, very weak-willed, but he can do voluntary motions now. He is no longer demotivated and, helpless in terms of his actions. So you can see that, his eyes focus, they lock on you. And he says one word, which activates the interior. So you are now hit with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you are hit with the environment is so heavy, the gravity is so heavy that you are restricted in your actions. You are slowed and restricted in your actions.
All right.
In the inside here, and furthermore, let me continue talk. Let me continue.
But I don't understand. Is this something that happens when he awakes, or this is something
a quality of the environment? This particular area is a hazard. Mm-hmm. If you don't have certain things that you are doing, certain qualities that you have, the environment will not, as soon as you start to try to move, right? You feel
Okay.
it, okay? He didn't turn it on by saying something. That's not
No.
true. This is a product of this space. Anybody
Okay.
in here would be experiencing it. He does not. So you, as soon as you try to move physically, you realize it's very difficult to do so.
Yeah.
And furthermore, that your dexterity has been dropped by 3. So your dexterity, which I think is 11, is now 8.
Is it temporary or yeah, in this environment, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. And so that has hit, and the other effect is 4 is a powerful entangle. So
I have 12. So, how much was it? Because you
it's
said
minus 3, so it is dropped to 9.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are physically very, very limited in this environment, is what I'm telling you. Okay. So that has happened, and his consciousness has returned. His sense of will has returned, and he says, "You don't have the training. You're not. You are not one of them. You are not one of the. You are an amateur. How did you get the suit?" Because you can see that he somehow is able to mentally exist here in some fashion which allows him not to be affected like this. And so you don't have the required skill that he has that permits him to manage his physical position in the etheric space. So and as soon as he sees this, he's like, "What are you? Who are you? You know, vem är du?" Right.
I actually.
In fact, he says it first in Swedish, then he says it in English. Very, very thick English.
I actually do something that I've probably never done before, but I've never been in this space before either. So I'm actually taking the helmet off and because I want him to see my face, and I want him to see that I'm just a normal. I'm a normal like math teacher from Gothenburg guy. I mean, there's no like, and I'm taking off, and I'm saying in my broadest Gothenburg
right
accent, I'm here to help. You are lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying, and I'm actually being really sincere.
Right. Oh, I get that. And in fact, it would be a wonderful presence attack, except that presence attacks don't work on him for you. No. So therefore, he is going to. That's so.
Making myself vulnerable. That's what I'm doing.
Right. So he is definitely going to. What is the word I want? He's going to concentrate, and the let's see, that's all part of it, right? His focus, got it. Okay, right. So he had actually taken the helmet down, but it still frames his face and head, right? So so what he's going to do is close it again. It's transparent, right? And his eyes are going to burn with that gray light even harder. Now, this is going to be an attack upon you. What is your ego?
My ego is 11.
Okay, so he needs a 12 or less, and he rolls a 14. So he is. You're going to see these images appear, and they are images of you, right, in different situations, from your past or but they don't damage you the way he is. And so the attack misses, right, in dice terms. But on the other hand, so I better spend his endurance. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4.